Like I said, sometimes he'd be a little rough, you know.
But other than that, he never was physically violent.
He didn't like punch holes in the walls or anything like that, no.
So when I asked you if has he been violent, you said, well, he didn't punch holes in the walls. Is that what you just said?
That's what I just said, yes, ma'am.
So punching a hole in a wall to you is a definition. When I ask, was he violent? Your definition of that is punching a hole in a wall.
I think that is violent.
Okay.
I'm not sure what you're asking.
So hang on just a second. So I want to get to the day that all of this happened. This happened on a Sunday, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're moving on, or you have a hearing on Wednesday,
I believe that's correct, yes,
and you're
ma'am.
moving right after that.
I think the actual day of move was kind of in flux. It seemed like it changed 1,000 times.
You're all getting in the car together, not together, but you're driving cars together to go to Maryland.
I believe he was going to be driving the U-Haul and pulling his truck. And I think that my mom was driving her car and I was driving mine.
And you were telling him during that time that you were going to move to Maryland and attempt to reconcile.
No, ma'am.
You weren't telling him that.
No, not in those words, no.
Did you hear Dr. Broder testify about that? That he said that when you were with Doug,
Objection here, sustained.
so you're denying that you ever told Doug that you were wanting to reconcile with him?
I said I wanted to find a way that we could do things together as a family for Emerson's sake, you know, and that's why we started doing things differently. He
So-
wanted to move back in, you know, together, and I told him that I didn't want to do that. I didn't feel comfortable with that.
Did you say that in Dr. Broder's office? In front of Doug?
No, not in front of him.
So when you're with a safe person, a psychologist, you're not telling Doug this.
I'm sorry.
You're saying that you told Doug when it was just the two of you that you didn't want to move in together. And you felt safe telling him, I don't want to move in with you. Right? Saying.
Yes, we had that conversation many times, yes.
But you're in front of this psychologist who one would think is a safe environment with Doug sitting next to you. You hear Doug say to Dr. Broder, we are going to Maryland and we are going to try and reconcile. And you don't feel safe enough to Dr. Broder, no, that's not what I want to do.
I would want to make him look bad in front of somebody else.
Okay.
I wasn't going to disagree with him in front of anybody.
Okay. So the plan was to load up the truck, get everything done, and then move very shortly after the court hearing, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you had no intention of dropping that injunction, so you knew on the day of that hearing, he was going to know, right?
I'm sorry.
You knew that Doug was going to know that you had no intention of reconciling with him.
We had had the conversation many times. I think he understood where I was at.
Okay. You saw the text messages between you and him, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you agree that those text messages do not indicate that?
It doesn't say we're getting back together, moving in together.
It doesn't say we're not going to reconcile.
I mean, not specifically, no. I wasn't going to argue with him.
If you got your injunction on that day, September 30th, How would you have moved together?
Speculative.
I'll sustain.
What was your plan if that injunction was
Speculative.
granted?
Different question, overruled.
Objection. Speculative.
No, you can approach.
So if the injunction were granted on that day, what was your plan about moving to Maryland with Doug?
I don't know that I really had a plan. I wasn't even sure whether or not I was going to go through the injunction at that point.
Okay.
Take care.
Okay, so I want to get to the night that all this happened. So you knew Doug was coming over.
Yes.
You invited him over
Yes.
to help you move stuff in the house,
Well, specifically stuff in the garage, but yes.
stuff in the garage to the truck.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And he came to your house a couple of times. He came and then left and then came back again.
Yeah, I believe he came twice that day.
And there is a gate to your community.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's at the gate, you had to let him in.
Sometimes, because he was frequent in and out, sometimes the gate remembers license plates, and sometimes it opens, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes he would just follow people in. The gate kind of stays open for a while. But, yeah, sorry.
But on this day, you weren't concerned about him coming over.
No, I knew he was coming.
Okay. And when he came over, your mother and Emerson went to the park.
I believe they were headed there. I'm not sure. I think they were down the driveway or on the sidewalk, something like that. They were on their way there.
You weren't so afraid that you wanted your mother to stay there and watch.
No, we were just packing to move.
Okay, so you weren't afraid.
I definitely didn't expect this to happen.
So it was of you that your mother left.
Yeah, at that time.
Okay. So if I heard you right during your direct, you said he bumped your shoulder twice. Body check, I don't know if that's what you called it. He walked into you with a box, right?
Yes.
And then at the end, you say he slapped you?
He hit me. I wouldn't know how to classify it. He struck me, he hit me.
Was his hand open or closed?
I don't remember.
Okay. And because of those things, you claim that you thought he was going to kill you.
He had never hit me before.
Okay. And you thought he was going to kill you.
He wouldn't let me leave. I tried to leave, he stopped me.
The question is, you thought he was going to kill you.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when were in the bedroom, you decided to get your firearm. And it was where?
It was in a storage bin on top of the laundry basket.
Okay. So I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 52. If you could turn around and look at that. Where was your firearm?
It was in the bin on top of the basket.
Here?
That's the basket. The laundry
Where was the
basket.
bin?
It's that right on top.
Okay, so it was in here.
Yes, ma'am.
Why would you have a firearm in there?
I had just emptied all the furniture and everything out of my room, and it was kind of like what was left from my drawers, and so it got put into a bin.
Okay. And that was not your only firearm in that room, correct?
Correct.
You had a firearm in the closet.
My carry gun was in my backpack, which was my purse at the time.
So in this room, with a mattress and a broom and a hamper, you had 2 firearms.
Yes.
So you go into the room and you grab your firearm. Is it in a holster?
I don't remember.
Okay. And you claim that Doug does what?
He came and slammed the door open. He was standing in the doorway. He said, "You're fucking done."
He said, "You're fucking done." And that made you fear for your life.
Yeah.
Can we turn the lights up, please? Thank you. So he says you're fucking done, and you point the gun and you shoot.
I held it out in front of me first so he could see it. And I said, "Stop."
Judge, if I could have her step down so she can demonstrate.
You may.
If you could just come down. So Doug opens the door and does what?
Standing in the doorway, kind of like this. He said, "You're fucking done." And I held the gun out in front of me and said, "Stop." He got into this like fighting pose, literally like turned sideways. And he was like moving around with his like arms in his hands. And he started like inching forward towards me.
So he why do you call it a fighting stance?
He looked like a fighter. Like I don't know, like a ninja or something, I don't know.
Okay, so he's standing there, he turns to like this and starts moving his arms around.
Like that.
Well, show me, what was he doing?
Kind of like, I don't know, he got like this, and he was like making like fighting motions. I don't know, I'm not a fighter, I don't know.
Okay.
It was scary.
Did he have his hands in fists?
Not at that point, they were like, I don't know.
Was he coming at you like this?
When he lunged at me, he came very quickly.
Okay, so he lunged. Was his fist up when he
I
lunged?
don't remember.
So you start shooting, and he does what?
He kept coming at me.
Okay, so then you keep shooting again. And he falls down on his back.
His legs went up in the air.
Okay, where do his legs go?
In the air.
How high in the air?
I don't know.
Do they go over his head?
I don't know, it's like his feet slipped out.
Okay.
And his feet and his legs went up in the air.
And were you still shooting at the time?
I don't remember.
You can have a seat. So after this incident, you claim that you had swelling to your face, right?
Let's go ahead and take a minute. All right, members of the jury, can you please close up your notes, put them on your chairs. I'm going to ask you to step out for a minute. You can use the facilities. It's not quite our mid-afternoon break, but we'll treat it as such. Please don't discuss the case amongst yourselves. Don't discuss it with anybody outside the jury. And don't do any research like we've talked about. All right, the jury's out. You can have a seat.
I'm sorry.
All right, we'll take 5 minutes.
Thank you. Come over to council.
Yes.